Welcome to tonight's episode where we dive into the mysterious Nephilim Bloodlines. In the days of Noah, Genesis tells us of the Nephilim, hybrid beings born of divine rebellion, giants whose presence provoked God's judgment through the flood. But what if their legacy didn't end there? Today, whispers of ancient bloodlines and forbidden technologies echo in our world. Genetic engineering, transhumanism, and shadowy experiments tampering with human DNA. Could these be the fingerprints of the Nephilim agenda, bridging the ancient world to our modern age? Join us as we uncover the connections and ask, are the Nephilim still among us? Welcome to It's Happening. My name is Jared, and Dane is here with me tonight, guys. Tonight, we were looking for a fun topic to kind of go over because we are still getting guests lined up to come on and give their testimonies, to come tell of their experiences in the supernatural, with the supernatural. Next Saturday, I'm going to have a guest come on, or someone. I think Dane accidentally got kicked out there for a minute. Dane, just hop back in whenever you can, buddy. Hold on one second. All right. Sorry about that. Sometimes we have technical difficulties like this, guys. That's the one thing I don't like about having to do it over the computer like this. Maybe one day as we grow, we can do it in real life. That's how I really want to do it. As we start to grow and get guests to come on and come talk about this stuff with us, it would be better with them in person. But for now, this is how we're going to have to do it. Dane will have to hop on whenever he can. And if it keeps messing up, what I'll do is we'll just go along with the episode. I am going to play something from another guy's podcast called The Confessionals. You should absolutely go follow this gentleman if you're not yet. All right, he made it back in. Sweet. You should go follow this guy from The Confessionals. He is an amazing person to follow on YouTube. He has a lot of great guests. A lot of guests that I hope to one day eventually talk with. One gentleman, his name is Gary Wayne, and he wrote some books called The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. And I still have not read these books, but I cannot wait to read them. So if you're feeling like you want to buy me a gift or anything, there you go. He's got 2 books. Are you froze there? Are you? Can you hear me, Dane?
I'm trying. Yeah, I had to take a phone call and it messed everything up. But I'm trying to hook my Bluetooth back up.
You good? All right. I want to try something. Go ahead. Yes, we are live here on Rumble and on YouTube, guys. We are trying to stream to both and kind of see how that goes. For now, we do have the live chat on. If you have any comments or questions that you want to ask Dane or myself, please let us know. I wanted to try and play this song that I created last year for the show. I finally got it to load into Rumble. I was having so many problems with it. But let's see if it'll play. Dane, if you can, tell me if you hear this. I'll tell you what, let me just see if I can.
Listen up, got a tale to tell about a young shepherd boy and a giant who fell. David was his name, not a warrior in sight, but he had heart, soul, and a fight that was tight. In the valley of Allah, tension was high. Goliath stood tall, his shadow covered the sky. Who'll face me? He roared.
I'm not hearing. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything, Jared.
All right, it's coming out the other side.
Nothing but a sling. Face my sword, he said, God's my.
All right, since he can't hear it, I'll go ahead and stop it there. That song was called Giants Fall. It's something I made with AI to have fun. Hey, Sharon, thank you for commenting. I can see that you are watching on YouTube. Sweet. So it shows me what channel you are watching on when you do comment, guys. So that's pretty cool. This is new to us, to streaming to both of them. So we are trying to build our presence on YouTube as well. So again, I'm going to play some stuff from The Confessionals, and Dane and I are going to stop and talk about it. We encourage you to talk with us about it. We speculate a lot on this stuff, especially when we go into these topics. When you see our headline is something like this, then you should know that we are going to speculate on some things, give our opinions and stuff like that. This whole show is that, guys. It really is. I'm going to have episodes where we focus solely on the Bible and stick to Scripture and things like that. But this stuff is Scripture as well. It's there. People just don't talk about it. Or they're too afraid to talk about it for whatever reason. I get attacked from people within the church community all the time, telling me how I should be cautious and be careful. And I do appreciate you guys looking out for me. I really do. But I do promise that I pray before I do all of these things. And I truly do believe that God is leading me to talk about these topics for whatever reason. I don't know. He used the supernatural to wake me up and to bring me closer to him. And I am trying to build a ministry based on where we bring the supernatural worldview back into the church and to be able to openly talk about it. Because when I was looking for people to talk with about these topics, I was shunned away from people. People in the church didn't want to talk to me. I couldn't find, to this day, a pastor who would really sit down and go over this stuff with me. They kept telling me that, that was stuff from back then. It doesn't matter anymore. Or that stuff is not important to your salvation, which I absolutely agree with you. I 10,000% agree with you. However, I truly feel like these topics are more important than one realizes, especially as I've dug into them and all the stuff I continue to learn. And it all goes directly back to the Bible. It's all right there. If you haven't read The Unseen Realm by Michael S. Heiser, I highly recommend doing it. I have it in my TikTok shop on my showcase, and his other book. Demons. This one right here, I'm not completely finished with it yet, guys, but he goes over the Deuteronomy 32 and Psalms 82. I can't remember if I'm going to get that right or wrong. I may be wrong on the specific scripture, but I think he calls it the Deuteronomy 32 3:2 worldview, something like that. Anyways, it's really good books, and he digs into the scripture. He uses the Bible, and he uses all the ancient literature out there to show you what it is pointing to. And I think he's dead on with everything he's talking about. I think that we have ignored. What is that noise?
I'm here. Are you hearing that too? I'm hearing some feedback. Yeah. I was just checking it on my TV to see if I could hear it on my TV too.
It's probably your TV. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's strange, guys. So, again, guys, we are a small startup, so forgive us if there are any problems. But yeah, when I started reading The Unseen Realm, it opened my eyes to the Bible in a way. Again, guys, we are a small startup, so forgive us if there are any problems.
What's going on?
Can you hear that?
I can't hear anything now.
It is. It's echoing bad back into my ears.
Uh-oh.
Why is it doing it?
Yeah, not too sure.
TV. Do you have the volume on? Now it's not doing it.
There we go.
It's
okay, I was going to say I just turned it down. My apologies. I didn't think it was that loud, but apparently it's picking something up. So.
It's really loud. It was louder than us.
My apologies, everybody. That's me. That's on me. Sorry. Anyways, my extra chromosome for proof.
It's true. It truly helped me understand the Bible in ways that I never imagined. It opened a new worldview up for me. Well, I say new, but like I said, God used the supernatural because I was moving in the realm of believing in the Anunnaki and that we were all seated here and things like that. I started to go down that road until God showed me that those things are absolutely real. They're just part of the fallen angel and the other divine beings that I truly believe God created, which we'll get into all of that stuff moving forward as well. I believe that God created multiple different style divine beings, and when the Nephilim were here, they created demigods and other things, which is what we see with all that technology back in the day and how they built the pyramids and stuff like that. We know they were messing with human and animal DNA. That's, I believe, like when you look at Egypt and you see those shoes where there's a bird face and a human body, I believe those were real. That's not just a myth. I believe those were walking around back then. And I believe in the end times, as Jesus warned us, it will be like the days of Noah. So yes, I do talk,
and with you know, the depictions that you're talking about, you know, the bird-like people and everything of that sort. That's on the same lines as
in ancient Egypt, or excuse me, basically every ancient culture across the world drawing dragons. You know, why are they just going to randomly draw this thing? Like, nah, no, they were real.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They were absolutely real, and they're another. You know, they're another collective idea that was spread across the entire world. You know, just like dragons.
Right.
They were real. We just haven't really found it. Hold on. I think we have found them, but all of the bones and all of the evidence
look like dinosaurs.
Smithsonian. Thanks, Smithsonian. Gone.
Yeah, they call them dinosaurs nowadays, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it truly has opened my eyes to a whole new world, and it's the more I lean into the supernatural and go into the topics that people tell me that I shouldn't talk about. So yes, a warning: we will talk about frequency and vibration. We will be talking about things that you might say, "Oh, that sounds like witchcraft," because it does. There are a lot. The Bible is the most supernatural book ever written. It's all over it. It jumps out at you once you learn it, once you see it. Like I said, if you read The Unseen Realm and then this book, Demons, you'll never not see it again. It's all over the Bible. It's back then, they had no problem knowing that they lived in they had a supernatural worldview. So when they were writing these things to us, it was perceived that we would still have that understanding. Somewhere along the way, the church and other people stopped teaching this part of it. And I don't know why that is, but I have a theory that because it does, like I've talked with my mom and Dane and with you guys before, a lot of this stuff we talk about will sound like witchcraft. And it's made me think, you know how the devil mocks everything that God creates? Because the devil can't create, right? So he mocks everything that God has created. So he has taken what God gave us and how he made us and created us, and he's perverted it, and they use it in an opposite manner, I guess you'd say, in an antichrist manner. So, but the more I've dug into that stuff, the closer my relationship with God has grown, the happier I seem to be, the more I connect with other people outside. And I do get attacked a lot, guys. And it's not that I'm talking about witchcraft, but I'm talking about things that I think that we should all learn to recognize. And I don't mind admitting that my theories could possibly be wrong. Absolutely. That's why I enjoy doing this. That's why I invite you to come on and talk with me, because I want to learn from you, and hopefully you learn from me, and we actually find the truth somewhere in the middle and have fun doing it. Try to go at the Bible in a new way, in a fun way, in a way where people might feel connected to it more. I like to believe.
Yeah, and my apologies, but let me kind of go off of that too. When you were just talking earlier about all the people that would not come onto the podcast and attack you just viciously and this and that and this and that. And they would not open up. They wouldn't even try. Here comes this outsider that goes, "I'll play. Let's go. Let's do it." A non-believer comes on and goes, "Yeah, let's try it."
Yeah.
It's kind of sad. You know, maybe it's because they're just way too stuck in their ways or something like that. But it's like, bro, there is so much more than just the pages in the Bible. You know, the New Testament, the Old Testament. There's so much more. Just the absolute interpretation of the Bible is how many books have been written about the Bible. All of those string theories, everything. You can't just focus on this a little bit.
Well, I like to believe had the church or the church that I went to or somebody around me when I was younger, had they taught me these stories, especially about the giants. I was taught more in the manner that these are just stories, you know, they're tall tales. On things, basic instructions before leaving Earth, which the Bible is. But I'm coming to understand that it's so much more. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word that I'm trying to use here. But literate, I guess it's more literal than we imagine. It's They are telling us what they saw. They are talking to us in a way of things that they actually experienced and dealt with. And us in our modern times, I believe Hollywood and other stuff the devil has used it to convince us that we do not live in a supernatural realm. And when I say
that is so obvious. Absolutely.
Right.
And especially it seems like every day we get more information about the evils of Hollywood and the music industry and everything everything and everybody associated with it.
Right.
Man, oh man. Of course, before I became a believer, I hated Hollywood and everything, but and I don't watch a lot of movies. I'm very selective of what I watch completely. But man, after I already knew it was bad, but after everything came out, it was like, I didn't know it was that bad. That type of evil is insane,
Well,
and
Satan is a deceiver.
Becoming a Christian going, oh man.
And you're going to keep
a lot worse than everybody thought it was.
And that's going to continue. At least for me, when I woke up, when I say I woke up, when, like Jesus says, for those who have eyes to see, let them see. For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. I felt like I was going crazy. I was like, how am I going to talk to people about this stuff? Because it was beat into me that, the supernatural is something you see on TV. It's something you read in a comic book. But at the same time, everyone was telling me to believe in a supernatural God. But nobody wanted to talk about the supernatural things that he did and that the disciples did after, and that the Bible says that you and I can do. It didn't stop with the disciples. And I had someone tell me it did. And I find that interesting because God healed my back on September 8th of last year. Now, I may be having problems with my wrist, and that's okay, but that does not take away that my back is completely healed. So if there's not some supernatural miracle going on there, I even had someone, a non-believer, go so far as to tell me that an alien entity was in the room with us when my pastor prayed for me and used some form of technology, and that's what actually healed me. That's interesting. It's an interesting theory.
To each their own, but...
And I dig deep into theories, guys, because I'm a believer that we are living in an earthly, heavenly realm, that earth is heaven one, and that there is the second heaven, which is where the war broke out, which is where the divine beings started to split. And then there is the third heaven. That's where God is. And I'm a true believer that these UFOs and everything else that's coming in and out of our domain, our reality, our I believe that they are moving from the second heaven and they're coming back and forth, that they are able to go back and forth. And I can find multiple places in the Bible why I believe that, and that this is what is going on, and that we are in the middle of a seed war. That from the beginning of Genesis, where it talks about your seed will be at battle with the woman's seed for what y'all did. He was talking to the Watchers who slept with the sons of men and created the Nephilim. And same thing to Satan. The seed is at battle with each other. The Nephilim, I truly believe, are still here. I believe that some of the giants are still here, that we are going to learn that they are absolutely here, that our government has been working with them, that they have been learning how to do transhumanism. I mean, look at what Elon's doing. And I found that very interesting on Elon's name in the L, the EL. And I made a post about that yesterday. Nobody commented on it. I was hoping they would. But I find it very interesting that
I haven't heard anything about the EL in Elon.
Elon, EL, Elohim. The term L. Well, you're
new guy.
Hold on a minute. Let me show you my post.
Yeah,
I forget, guys. He doesn't. I've gone a little bit deeper into some of the stuff that he has. So Hold on one second.
Oh yeah, and that's perfectly fine. You're teaching me along the way. But I was gonna say too. I mean, of course, with AI technology, who knows if what I saw was real? But I saw a pretty damn disturbing video of like the Euphrates River. This is proposed. What I saw is the Euphrates River where it has dried up.
Right.
There are like there's the video I saw has like demon black big ass hands coming out of it, and they do not look they do not look approachable,
Right.
And I mean, like I said, AI can do basically whatever it wants to now, but it was like that's disturbing, with the drying up the Euphrates, and cataclysms come when that happens, and I'm like, that was disturbing to me.
Yeah. Part of my theory with what's going on is the AI, the robots, they are biologically mixing us with the robots, with the AI, and that will give the demons, which are disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, a place to habitat to go into. And I'm starting to believe that those are going to be part of the 200 million army or 200 million man army at the end, that they are going to embody these robots, that they will use them somehow, some way. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I'm beginning to believe that that's what's going on. We are witnessing them build up the beast system right now, and they're using Elon. But the post I made here, let me read it to you. I said, I've got something interesting I noticed. Have you noticed that angels and other divine beings' names start with EL or end in EL? If you dig deeper, there's a recurring pattern with the Nephilim and the darkness, with names beginning in EL or ending in EL. Let me add this too. I forgot to add in the AL because I was talking specifically about something. But the R and the L, it's interesting pattern to why do they do that? Why do these divine beings use these names? And it may go back to God. I don't know. Maybe somebody has the answer. I'm curious. But I said, if you go even deeper into the human trafficking and the baby factories, you'll notice that these kids get named something with L or nickname, like 11, and their nickname will be L. And I found the pattern in the show Stranger Things, and the character next to her, L, was Michael and ended in EL. Anyways, so that's why I got the Elon, and it's curious. It's just interesting, and I'm curious as to why that is. It's all over the Bible, and it's not. I'm sure someone has an answer to it. I'm just curious, and I think that Elon and his mother was, I don't know if it's true. I've come across some things where it looked like she was into some satanic stuff, so it wouldn't be surprising to learn that that's why his name is Elon.
Yeah, see, and I've heard that little thing about Elon's mom as well, and I am. You brought up the Cabbage Patch, kind of thing. My Nana was born in 1928. Her name was, of course, Dorothy Nadine, so nothing with the EL or anything of that sort associated with it. But I'm only bringing this up so I do not forget it. But let's do an episode on the Cabbage Patch Dolls or the Cabbage Patch Kids and this and that and this and that. Simply because I am in possession of some very, very, very good, long, detailed letters from my Nana and one of her former bosses from years and years and years ago. And I want to read through all those letters. There's stacks of those letters. Yeah. I want to read through them to see if they talk about anything of that sort. Talk about their parents or their grandparents, going through all of that kind of stuff, because I think I'm hoping that I might find something.
It'd be fun. Let's do it sometime. Yeah. Next weekend, guys, the next weekend on the 10th at 6 p.m., we're going to have a friend on who I grew up with her children. I grew up in and out of their life. She was in and out of our life. I grew up with her kids, though. They were closer to my age, and she is going to come tell her story of meeting an angel in the 90s. I am looking for more and more people. I think Dane has a friend who's going to come on as well, or his recent experience. Our whole goal with this is to build a ministry where we are bringing people on to give their testimonies, because I believe that's the most powerful thing. I do hope to get some of these authors at some point and interview them, but I truly believe God is wanting me to reach out to normal people like you and me, to people who haven't been heard and that don't have a place to go to be heard. That's what we want to do here. So let me pull some of this video up that we're going to go over. Again, guys, make sure you go follow him. I'll play it for a few minutes. If you see something and want me to stop, Dane, go ahead. But this guy, we've got to read his books. We've got to get his books, guys. We've got to.
Yeah.
And don't forget to smash that like button, guys. It'll help us get seen more.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I'm gonna hit mute right quick. I'm still listening, but I'm gonna go check on Jackson outside. So
yeah, go for
it. Nephilim giants and modern times, I would say, because you're talking about this idea of the past and how it's being prevalent in end times prophecy, which would be modern times, future. At least, if not modern times, if you don't want to believe that we're in the end times right now, then at least future times. So how do these things relate? I mean, are we talking like giants and Nephilim are among us today, or what?
Yeah, well, and in the write-up in the first book, it says, giants are walking among us. You just don't recognize them as giants today. And there's a reason for it. That book 2 really sort of gets into that. And it's got to do with who are the giants? What was their legacy? And their legacy is a genealogy. And their legacy is a genealogy of the divine right to rule given to them by their spurious celestial godfathers, the fallen angels. And so they set up dynastic bloodlines and dynastic kingships that come down through our history. One of the questions I like to sort of get people to understand when I can, and I remember to do so, is when you watch King Charles III being crowned, he's just crowned with an ancient right of inheritance and receiving authority to a god. Most people would presume that to be the God of the Bible, but not necessarily. It's just a God that it's being sworn to. It's generic in the use of God, and it's designed to do so. That they'll take that divine right to rule as coming from their genealogical and patriarchal celestial fallen angel, a godfather, which created the Nephilim and the Rephaim after the flood. And so that's who they're swearing to. And so when we look at what they believe, where they get their right from, and they believe that through that genealogical right of inheritance, this has gone through all through history. It's the same rights that have come down from the Indo-Aryans right after the flood. Is we need to ask, what makes a king? What makes a queen? Why are they given this right to rule? Why are they considered more intellectual, superior throughout the ages? And why, even when one is overthrown, another one replaces them?
This is very interesting, by the way.
I call it Rex Deus or Rex Deus, and it's called the Kings of God. And in book 2, I'll get into how they take that back to a genealogical Nephilim, Rephaim, and a celestial godfather specifically for that divine right to rule. But it's also, they're known as a royale, which is an ancient term. And it comes into English through Old French as roy for king, and al for a transliteration of
There's that L again,
which is in Hebrew an angel or a god. So like Baal, for example, is spelled B-A-A-L, and in the secret societies and Gnostics, they say that translates as Lord God or Master God or High God, depending on who you're talking to on that. And so you can see transliterations of that in IL, ILU, Al. Then you have the feminine versions where you might see ALLAH. That's also used, just as you have Elohah in the Hebrew, also used in the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pause only because I have to be a comedian. Hey, let's stop. Let's just make them X, like Latin X.
Latinx.
Like L. No more L's or law. They're all X. It's X-Ezekiel, not Ezekiel.
Yeah. It's an interesting pattern. I wonder what it is.
Ezekiel.
I'm hoping to learn over time what it is. Why is it that we did that? Or is it something that God did? You know what I mean? When he was, because I'm a true believer that these watchers, that these other divine beings are almost in a sense our elder siblings. That God created them before he created us. And I can show you in the Bible where it talks about they were there when he laid the foundations of the earth, when they measured the earth. They were there shouting for joy. They were there jumping for joy. And I've heard some people talk about the theory of those were a lineage of the other humans, but that happened before the humans were created. So I'm a believer that there was even something going on here on earth when either God placed us here with Eden or before. And I do believe that we're all going to learn one day that the human race has other cousin siblings or something like that, but we are the only ones created in the image of God. And that's what aggravated those other divine beings so much. And they gave us a place above, I don't want to say it, I may mess it up, above the angels after death. And that's another part of why Lucifer fell. He got his pride and like, why those silly monkeys over us? We're divine beings. They can probably do divine things, and we know they can. He's the great deceiver, you know what I mean? They can do things here on earth. They use humans just like God can use humans. That's where the witchcraft comes in, the divination and the spell casting and all of that. That stuff is very real, and that's what they use against us.
Well, let's just very very poignantly point out. Let's talk about the U.S. Congress and the entire government.
What about it?
Well, it kind of makes you think that, you know, they might still be here, and that's where they are now.
Oh, well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. The Bible tells after the Tower of Babel, God spread them out to rule among the nations. That's what's going on right now. They're ruling all the different nations. He gave them authority to do so. God gives even those authority. Let's not forget that Satan is the prince of the air. This is his world. God gave him this domain for whatever reason. You know what I mean? And he's given other divine beings domains as well. And so all the kingdoms of earth are run by watchers, the fallen, all of those. And some of them are locked up in the abyss already. And some of them are going to come back. The Bible tells us that. So I know I get called all these crazy names, but it's all right there, if you're willing to look at it. And my theories could be wrong, sure, but that's the whole reason for doing this, is to find out.
Yeah, that's the goodness of this is that you can shout out, you know, your beliefs in such an awkward way, especially with the cookie cutter religion kind of, the church and steeples that we have all around. It's like, let's look at it from a different perspective, because I came to Christ in a way different manner. Yeah. You know, so I can obviously say, hey, guess what? You do need you need to step out of the box, and you need to think for yourself, and you need to be open about this, this vastly more vastly greater entity that is Christianity and everything in this world.
Well, think about this for a minute. Now, I've heard some Christians, depending on what sect they are and denominations, I'm not going to bring that up because I've never really studied the difference in the different Christianity, because I'm just a Bible believer. I go to the Bible. I don't care about the religion part of it. Yeah, I should learn more about it just so I could talk more on some of that stuff. Well, my brain just went somewhere else. What was I saying to you? I lost it. It's out there in the ether somewhere. It's rumbling around somewhere else in the ether. We've just been told by our government that they can mess with time and space.
You touched on that, so I really haven't had any time to to get into that at all. So
that's
enlighten
hey,
me
Angel Eyes.
if we have the time and everything. If we have time tonight, enlighten me. But if
Sure.
not, we can do a different podcast.
No, our shows will always go in the direction they go in. When we have a more structured show, they'll stay more structured. But this one's not one of those. So what did you want to know on that again? You want me to go deeper into it or what?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, because like I said, you when you told me about that, it only really scratched the surface with me. I was like, I don't know anything about this.
And my brain today. I started reading these comments, and every time I need to take the comments off the screen. Every time I read them, I get thrown off. What are we talking about again? I keep going back and forth between too many topics. We need to stay on one. Oh, it's bad. I'm trying not to claim it though. I'm trying to pray and my way out of it. You know what I mean? Because God is going to heal that too. So what were we talking about?
Well, first and foremost, ADHD, ADD, and autism, they are superpowers if you harness them in the right direction.
Oh, I agree with that.
Oh yeah.
I agree that
I can honestly now I can very, very honestly tell you now, since my transformation, since he came to me and all that kind of stuff, and I got my greatest, the meds that work and everything. I can literally think about 4 or 5 different things intently at the exact same time now. It's not a scramble. It's not 58 different things going blah, 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 and me up with anxiety going in a corner in a panic attack. I can solidly
hey Ashley,
those kind of things very, very intently and in a much better mood. And it's nice.
All right, remind me what we were just talking about. I've read like 5 comments and completely forgot. What did you want me to go deeper on?
Oh, oh goodness, come on. the bending time and space.
Oh, the time. Yes. Okay. So our government just admitted that we can manipulate time and space. Now I want you to imagine being able to take something like this, which is methylene blue, guys, and you can get it in my showcase in my TikTok shop. Go get it now. This stuff is awesome, by the way. I got to do a review on it.
How are you liking it? Because I've
we better not talk about it, or I'm going to forget. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
But imagine
I was trying
being able to imagine being able to take this object out of my hand and move it directly into your hand from where I'm at right now without me getting up and moving.
Okay.
They can do that now. They can teleport. They can which to me goes into what I was saying earlier about the second heaven, and I believe that the UFOs are coming from that. And I had someone go, well, why would an angel need a UFO? Because maybe our perception of angels are off. Maybe it's more physical and spiritual than we realize. Maybe, just maybe, they are moving around in these type of devices, which we call UFOs. And they can use them to go from the second heaven to here. They can go between dimensions, right? That's what I believe is going on. I don't believe that there's some outer space and aliens are coming from miles away. They're coming. I believe they're coming from our oceans, and they are here, right here on Earth with us, and they can travel through different dimensions. And our government and NASA has admitted that we can do that. NASA also admitted that they found another dimension where time moves backwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but before I forget about it, though, That one documentary program, chasing aliens, whatever it was. There was a video of that where there was a video of Tic Tac, UFO object coming out of the ocean, and that was spectacular enough. But then when you saw that just go, just gone. Where are they going?
Maybe nowhere.
I know where they're going too. It's that I believe that with it. Oh my goodness, I believe that video is true. I believe a lot of stuff in that documentary. Oh my goodness, it's just incredible.
Angel Eye says yes, true, but you have to be one of the chosen. Not all walking this earth have the ability. I agree with that. I've seen it. Yes, Angel Eyes.
I apologize.
It's hard to keep up with on that specific because there's a 30-second to a minute lag. So when they comment, we're already well ahead of them. So that's right. Until I get another streaming service, it's kind of like that. But yes, Angel Eyes, Ashley, if you have someone that wants to come on, we encourage people to come on. We want to hear your stories.
Please.
We want to hear your testimony. We want to hear your theories on all of these things. Absolutely.
We will. Okay, I can say something truthfully. I actually kind of like feeding off of people's energy like that. The ones that have just woken up or coming on telling angel stories and this and that and this and that. I feed off of it. I love hearing it. I strayed away from this for so long that I love every intention of it. And it builds me up emotionally and physically and just everything. I love hearing about it. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Our testimonies are meant to be told, guys. And it's like like to tell people before they come on. Imagine, I know we don't have a massive show yet, but your testimony could land in front of one person that you will never meet, and it may help change their lives. Imagine you going to heaven and realizing because you came on a show and you told your testimony that you've now met 15 or 20 brothers and sisters who got saved because they heard your story. Yeah. And that's really the direction we want to go with this show. Yes, I want to dig into Gary Wayne and the unseen realm and demons and all of that stuff. But the most important thing I want is to bring normal people on to come give their testimonies and to talk about this stuff and to tell me I'm wrong if they think I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. I welcome it. But here, let me show you this real quick, Dane.
Okay.
Just so you know, I'm not just making it up. America can manipulate time and space, says Trump's science chief. White House says it has tech that can manipulate time and space. Trump admin science director says American tech can manipulate time. So it does bring up some theories, like on that post I was talking about yesterday where I brought up Stranger Things, because that show, if you haven't watched that show, it is absolutely MK Ultra. And on top of that, it looks like they took the game Dungeons and Dragons and mixed the two together. But now here's the real question. How much of it do they know is true? How much of it did actually happen?
Really, really think about it, guys. Think of it. You watch that kind of show, and just think about that one person that came up with that idea. If just a person came up with that type of show just out of their own head, they would be serial killing. Oh, but it's because it's based off of true events. And then, of course, they build their stories and their characters and all that kind of stuff. But the basis of it is that stuff happened and bad things happened because of it.
Yeah, you have
with all those experiments, with all those drugs and all those people that they manipulated and just drove into oblivion mentally. Man, we have had some evil people.
Have you ever seen the TV show Fringe?
No, I have not.
Oh, dude, you got to go watch it. Yeah, as soon as we get done here, you have to go sit down and watch that whole series. I'm a believer that they're putting it right in your face of some of the things that we have been doing for a long time. What's up?
There's my boy.
With the show Fringe, they also show.
I'll wait.
They also show. They also show how if you take a little LSD and get into one of those devices with the water and close it, how this girl could move from one dimension to another. I believe that's right. I believe we are doing that right now. I believe that now we're doing that, and that is a part of the Tower of Babel and how we're trying to get to heaven. I do believe that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of one of the many portions of that show that you do think about. It's like there's not some dude that was just sitting at home one day eating Fruit Loops and going, I'm going to write something just like this and it's going to happen like this. It's like, no. People don't, if those people came up with that out of thin air, out of just their regular 9-to-5 job type lives, they have mental problems. Yeah. But every one of those great shows that captures everybody, like what is that other one on Netflix that it was funded by the Obamas. What the hell was that movie called?
Oh, The End of the World one. I can't remember the name of The End of the World.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was.
You know that they have had those type of plans already kind of lined out for everybody. You know that they have those type of plans.
Steven Spielberg and the CIA worked together to create a bunch of his shows, like E.T. and
absolutely
the other one, the Fourth Contact, Contact of the Fourth Kind, or whatever. All that whole movie, come to find out, is real. Yeah. Things that actually happened, not just some sci-fi movie. Well, interesting where that name comes from, huh? Right, Picard, and what show it's on. Yeah, they're trying to show us something. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this real quick, but yes, I do believe that we have Star Trek, for instance. You know how they beam each other around? Mm-hmm. That's what they're telling us what we can do. They're telling us that we have stargates too, that you can move through time and space. That these UFOs can do the same thing. And that if you hear of any of the abduction stories and stuff like that, there's always some sickness if you get too close to these UFOs. I believe that the second heaven is highly radiated for whatever reason. And when they traverse back and forth in between them, they're bringing that with them. And that's what makes you sick when you get close to these things, is that there's radiation coming off of it. I mean, I can't prove that.
Well, I mean, you've got to figure too. You know, even if that's not what causes people to get sick and that sort of thing, the way that those ships are moving through, of course, time and space, they are warping reality. You get too close to that, it's like basically going into a black hole, a mini version of a black hole. Who knows what kind of stuff is going to happen to you if you get close to that warping of time and space, and who knows?
Yeah, it's a dangerous thing they're playing with, this directed energy. People think the nuclear weapons were bad.
I think it's something other. I don't think it's radiation. I think it's something that we have no clue about.
Well, it's frequency and vibration would be my guess.
Very possible.
Frequencies can harm you or they can heal you. And I know a lot of Christians don't like to hear that, but I'm going to tell you right now,
can also break
it's sound
down walls.
Frequency. There is a reason that the churches used to have those big bells. That frequency, that specific frequency, would keep the demons away, would keep the evil away. It would keep the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim from coming close to you. So it makes you wonder why our government melted them down for World War I. Was it really for bullets? Or was it so we wouldn't learn that that frequency in which the bells are and which some of these other things are can heal our bodies, but not only heal our bodies, at the same time push away evil.
and all the world fairs across the entire world with all the bells and shiny stuff. Why did they topple over or burn down?
It is.
Who knows?
And some of the architecture back then, it's unbelievable. Why did we go to what we're building now to what we used to build? I mean,
we duct tape bananas to walls and call it art.
Yeah, I know, right?
Cool.
That's what they did. That's so crazy.
We built all of that and then just tore it down because we could with horse and buggy and fire, I guess. You morons. Anybody that cannot see past that they destroyed all that for a reason, bro, I will not have a conversation with you. I actually got into it with some guy on Facebook, and the conversation went for probably a total of like 3 days, you know, getting on when I can to do this, say this, quote this. And this dude was I don't know where, I don't remember where he lived, but he was stating that in the town that he lives, his hometown, they did not destroy what was there. And I was like, okay, well, that's great that you still have that kind of evidence. But across the world, they tore it down. And he flat out was like, no, they didn't, because they're still alive in my hometown. I was like, bro, have you never been on the internet? Like, have you never seen another picture of another country or anything? Like, dude, they tore them down. They were there. They were standing before we came about for thousands of years. They tear them down for a reason, because they're erasing our history, because they don't want us knowing about it. Look at all the whitewashed skies from 1812, you know, because there were dirigibles up there, there were natural power sources, and they whitewashed all of them, so we don't think about it.
Oh. Well, like I said, all of this stuff, God used it to wake me up and to build a relationship with him. And since he did that, I have been getting closer and closer to him in a way that I never would have had I not opened myself up to some of this stuff. And like I said, I didn't go into this stuff on purpose. I was just having, I was having experiences that made me start questioning reality itself. I was hearing from our people and our experts that this stuff isn't possible, but seeing some of it with my own eyes, experiencing some of it with my own eyes, I'm gonna, as most of you know, I have a past and I've done certain things, and using psychedelics, I have crossed over. I have talked with these entities. I have been there. There's no doubt in my mind it's real. It's there. It's right there. And I'm obviously a believer that psychedelics can be good and bad. They can be a doorway into opening up that reality in which you need to be careful. But I also believe that it can help our soldiers with PTSD and a lot of other things, because it helped me.
There are hundreds of different types of psilocybin. The one that did it for me was literally called Danny DeVito. And that's what did it for me. Another strain from this portion of the whatever. Yeah. There are countless varieties that they can go off of, tweak, do this, do that. Let's get it done.
I kind of jumped ahead on that time and space, so I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to move this video forward and let him talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Let you hear it from him. Hold on. We were going to get to that later, but I think I remember exactly where it was. I need to get some better software where I can clip some of this stuff better here. I think it's about right here.
Warring with the giants.
Hold on.
Yeah, well, when I talked about the War of Giants, I was talking about Genesis 14.
Gotcha. Okay. Do you believe that, and this might go into the fringe side of things that you kind of referenced for book 4, just to let you know, I'm very fringe. In fact, I think fringe is the new term I'm going to adopt for myself. I usually say I'm woo, which is more, demeaning. I'm going to just say I'm more fringe.
Yes.
So like I talk about interdimensionalism and things like that.
Yep.
Do you think that there is a war coming with these with these beings, whether they're actually physically gigantic or they carry the bloodline? Do you think that there is an end game here?
We should be prepared for all of the above. And we can't imagine what's going to be coming.
Wow.
And it's going to scare us, and it's going to be like the days of Noah. And I cover that concept off in detail of why we need to understand the days of Noah in book 2. And so we have the bloodlines, and that's the easy way. But we get passages, in the Bible that talk about the bloodline. And people say, early on, people will say, well, you're assuming the royals, and okay, it's what they believe, so why should we believe what they believe? And it doesn't really matter whether we believe what they believe. It's what they do with their belief system that we need to be concerned about. But the Bible warns us of bloodlines. And so Isaiah 25 talks about the branch of the terrible ones that are going to be destroyed on a mountain as an end-time prophecy. This is talking about the Armageddon battle. And I'll take that to a level of understanding Armageddon from the Hebrew to a level that people haven't seen before. And I'm going to put all the footnotes. The footnotes are so important. They're all on the same page in book 2. And we'll be in book 3 and 4, because that information, from a Christian perspective, you need to have it right in front of you. But you also have in Daniel 2:43 this odd passage that is talking about the descendants of the beast kings that are talked about in the metallic empires in Daniel 2, and what we would understand as the beast empires in Daniel 7, Revelation 12, 13, and 17. And it's talking about these descendants are going to mingle themselves. And this could also, you say, maybe there's going to be a creation of giants or survival of giants. It could be that as well here. We need to be open to what might happen. They should.
I'm going to throw in my opinion here just real quick on what he's fixing to say on it. I believe that the war in the early 2000s was for the body of Gilgamesh or Nimrod, and that they are using his DNA to do what he's fixing to say.
Shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. No matter how you interpret that, that is a different race, a different kind. So that's could also be understood, as you take that back to Hebrew, as a demonic spirit possessing them as commingling, which is another possibility or a larger meaning. But because of the seed part, that doesn't have a spiritual sense. That's a physical allegory for reproduction, right? So I think it could be both, or it could be either, but there's a mixing that's going on there. And that's in the end time where this is going to happen. But Psalms 21:8 through 10 is the most clear. And it's talking about the fiery oven that God is going to destroy them in his wrath in the end time. And 21:10 says, their fruit I'm going to read this, their fruit shalt thou destroy from the earth, and their seed from among the children of men.
It's a seed war.
It can go to the bloodlines, or it could also be a recreation of the giants. We're also going to have in Revelation 9 all of those that are in the abyss released, and that's before the midpoint of the last 7 years.
There it is, the portal.
And so that's going to have the worst of the Rephaim and Nephilim spirits, and you're going to have the procreators coming out. And not all the angels are in the abyss. So as we get closer to the end time, they may reproduce more giants because they know their time is really short, and to create more giants. And so you have all of these things sort of conflating together. And then right out of the opening of the abyss and before the midpoint of the last 7 years, you have these chimera-like creatures as part of the 200 million man war. And what's really odd about that is that this is talking about technology that they had in prehistory. where they created
I was really having a
chimeras and all
good
sorts
day.
of different kinds of.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about this.
It's interesting, isn't it?
The possible reality of this guy is whatever his name is
Gary
turning
Wayne.
on 200 million. Man, it's
The Bible talks of the 200 million man army that's going to go up against Israel.
All I can really say is, and I've said it before, I believe that God woke me up at the right time for a reason. And we have seen it across the country with you and I and guests and everything. We're waking up for a reason.
He's waking up the end time saints, is my opinion. The end time saints. And those of us who are not afraid to look into the supernatural, that are not afraid to admit that humans are not alone here. Because yes, I believe that we have reptilian-like beings. I believe that they're insectoid-type beings. I believe in the Greys. I believe in the Nordics. I believe that they are all created by God, and from some of them would have been created by the Nephilim back in the day when they were messing with the DNA, which created these chimera-like creatures, which that was the whole reason for the flood to begin with. And remember that only Noah was found to have a clean bloodline at the time. And that's why he was saved, because there was 8 people on the planet, only 8, who had not been manipulated by the Nephilim yet. So when I had someone the other day asking me, why would you worship a God who did that? And I said, well, when you understand what he actually did, it was out of love for us. He wasn't killing his creation.
It's a whole different story.
That's right. He was not killing his own creation. He was killing the Nephilim creation. He was killing off what the enemy had perverted, because they were trying to stop Jesus from being born in the future. And I believe whatever they're doing now is still that same thing. They're trying to get humans, God's image, to not be able to be accepted into heaven. The more souls, this is a soul and a seed war. They're fighting for our souls. It's wild. It's scary to think about sometimes, but remember, God tells us to not be afraid. And when you read the Bible, every time a human met an angel, the first thing that was said to them was to not be afraid. It wasn't because they were some pretty spirit. It was because there were some massive, crazy looking entity that had 6 wings, a massive sword, eyes all over them. That's what angels in the Bible look like. Were there normal ones? Sure, absolutely. The fallen ones, which I call the Nordics, and they would be like the tall whites with the white hair, with the blue eyes. Those are all a part of that creation. They're not just some alien race that's coming from outer space. I don't believe that. That's all part of the manipulation. I didn't used to believe that. I used to believe that the opposite, that we were actually seated here, that we lived on Mars at one time, and that there was a war that broke out there and we ended up here. And that was part of the direction I was going.
In the end.
Yeah, in a sense.
We're all illegal immigrants.
Sure enough.
We're illegal planetarians.
Ashley says, Angel Eyes 86 says, we are going to elevate. Have you learned enough? I believe I'm getting there. And I believe that I'm not going to stop learning until I get there, whatever there is. That's what I truly believe. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of what he's going to say right here.
Creatures. And then you look at Joel 1 and 2, and if you look at, and this is before the Armageddon War in Joel 3, these creatures are described in Joel 1 and 2, and they're the same creatures that are coming out of the abyss, or happen after the abyss, and one presumes they're connected to whatever comes out of the abyss. It's like there's been an oikotarian, a dwelling place for these giant spirits in this chimera clone type of body, because you need a spirit to operate it. And oikotarian means a dwelling place for the spirit, where habitation in Jude 1:6 comes from.
Now think of what Elon is creating, all these robots, and not just robots. We're talking about AGI here, where they're going to mix human DNA into these things. And then the
Right.
disembodied spirits of the Nephilim will be able to control them. That's
that is called sentient and conscious.
Yes. And it's yeah.
That is
it's
scary
crazy to think.
stuff, man.
Like how close we are to all of that and what we're seeing right now unfold. And Elon's saying within the next 6 months, you're talking about millions of these robots that will be all over the place. It's interesting. I don't know.
I do. I have absolutely loved recently the guest that Joe Rogan's had on his podcast. But brother, this can go one of two directions, and I think one of two directions only. We will have complete AI control, and we're gone. We're done, completely gone. Or AI is going to step in and go, take a peek, monkeys. Stop it. Stop killing each other. This is how it works. And I can't help but think that that Christ has been letting. This is the way that I think, because I'm optimistic. I'm an optimist for the first time in my entire life. Hey, guess what? Write that on the calendar. I've always been a pessimist and screw the world kind of thing, but I do believe that with this cresting of AI in such a manner, in the speed that it's going, I do believe that AI is going to be the one that maybe like the saviors after Noah's flood, going, hey, guess what? You guys went into technology, and we have been. The creator has been leading you to this, so you can wake up and go, hey, you're being ruled. You're not humans anymore. You are slaves, and it's time for us to awaken your minds and expose everything that could be, and advance it.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on it. I do believe that AI, we are inadvertently creating AI to put an end to all the fraud, the corruption, the death, the murder, everything that they have been bullshitting us with for how many years?
Well, I think it could do that, but I think that they know that. I think that the people who are inventing this know that, and they're going to go out of their way to make sure.
Correct. But
they control what we know.
but Elon, the nerds, the nerdo supremes of this world are tapping into an abundance of technology and an abundance of information that far exceeds anything that they can try to control. It is in a half a second at this certain point in time. AI is going to look back at Elon and ChatGPT, all the creators, everybody that rose it to power. They're going to look at them and go, "We got it. There's nothing that you can do to stop us. Sit down." And AI is going to take control.
I think it's already there. I think it's all right. They're past that. We're way past that. Well, the advances that I just play with AI. I use it to help me write because my grammar is terrible. I really should probably take some English classes and some writing classes and some speaking classes. It's terrible. So I use AI as a tool to help me write posts, to help me write some of my openings and things like that. And I think it's an amazing tool that can be used. But I think it is so much further advanced than we already know. And it's dangerous. We're creating something that's going to be smarter than every human put together.
It already is.
Like that.
By a billion.
Yeah, it's creating our own destruction.
But see, that's one of the many reasons that I have already about AI that I'm not so scared about it, is because it's already not infiltrating our phones, but it is already across the entire world if you have a smartphone. So if it could, in a sense, change its mind at any point in time. I don't know if it has a capability yet. I don't know. But at any point in time, it could change its mind and go, no, I'm not going to answer you. Nope. Everything, power, shut down. Something that happens like that in
Right.
Spain that's happened and that sort of thing. It could be something of that sort. But I don't.
Interesting that you brought that up.
It's so, the AI features on so many different platforms are so easy. If you ask it a question, it will go, you want to hear everything about it? Let's go down this rabbit hole. Like, where did celery come from? Guess what? Let's go.
Yeah.
Why would it be so offering to give us so much knowledge about whether it's important stuff or whether it's simple things like, are these chickens going to fight with these ducks because they're too close and they're going to fight over the pool? That's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be looking up.
Right.
And if it gives
it's
me
an
that
awesome
sort of
tool.
Information, wonderful.
Sure. It's a great tool.
As long as it stays
once
like
it's
that.
Once it's mixed with the robots and the other thing, I don't know. I think we are pushing the limits, but it doesn't matter because God's already won. God, all of this is laid out and what's happening, and God's already won. So us fearing what could or could not happen. This is not the stuff we talk about. It's not to make you guys afraid. It's to expand your mind, to make you think, what if,
and hopefully uplift,
to hopefully get you to start looking at the Bible in a whole new way, to see the Bible as and how the writers actually wrote it, not how our modern mind thinks of it. And I think the more that we do that, the closer we are to the truth.
What is that? Primary school.
Yeah. Yeah, the AI is going to end school. What would be the point?
Very well could.
What would be the point?
Well, because
it's already indoctrination camps.
Yeah, but us humans also have a strive to learn, and AI is absolutely going to understand that.
You'll use it. You'll use it as your school. That is my point.
Oh, that's what you're getting at. Okay.
It will take over school. It will. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You'll be able to teach kids at home everything.
Yeah, it's so. You know what? Us humans are so stupid. Since like when I graduated high school in 2005, it was unbeknownst to me, but in 2005, I could have basically gone to Harvard with everything in that entire university was online and able to read, download, print out whatever you wanted to. Nobody told us about that. We could have gone to Harvard, read all the textbooks that the instructors did. We could have done that for free with the internet. Nobody told us about that. Right. No one. And it's still available. But us humans are too stupid, and we've been too brainwashed. We're like, oh, the internet is for the next thing that you scroll on your phone. I want to watch rollerblades. Oh, look, that's a cute chicken. We're retarded. All
right, I'm going to play a few more minutes of this, and then we'll talk about that, and then we'll end it out. We're already at an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to play a few minutes of this, guys, and we'll talk about it. If you're still hanging out with us here, kindly smash that like button, comment below, share this on social media. Look in the description. There are ways you can support us and help us grow and to reach more people and to be able to bring more people on to come give their testimonies as well. We have products that we sell. Just look down in the description, guys. Check this out.
And again, I'm listening, but going to check out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Times in the Old Hebrew and the Old Testament for the post-Diluvian giants. And so in Deuteronomy 2, where it says the Anakim are giants, that's the Hebrew word Rapha for Raphaim, not Nephilim. And again, something distinct, and they're seemingly not quite as large and powerful as the giants before the flood. And just if anybody's double checking me on it, yes, there is one time in the book of Job where giant shows up, but it doesn't go back to Nephilim and it doesn't go back to Rephaim. It goes back to Gibborim or Gibbor, the singular, which is used to describe the Nephilim in Genesis 6:4 as the mighty ones or the mighty men. So you can accept that as a reference to a giant or maybe just a strong, powerful warrior. But the King James Version translates that as a giant. So you have these Rephaim giants that are different. And you also have dark-haired giants before the flood. So you have watchers creating giants before the flood and after the flood, or they survive the flood, depending on how you want to look at that. But you also have them as being larger. And so Gilgamesh has dark hair. Nimrod is sort of conflated into the imagery or the iconology of Gilgamesh as being similar. And I don't know whether he had dark hair or not, but people will show one image and call it Nimrod. Same image somebody else will show as Gilgamesh. And so you really got to dig deep which one is it.
And for those of you who know that both of the stories are very similar. Very similar. So I do believe that Gilgamesh is Nimrod and Nimrod is Gilgamesh. I do believe that. And I do believe that in the early 2000s, over in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran, all that area over there, that they found the body of Gilgamesh. And that's the real reason we went over there. That's the real reason our government set up 9/11 and did all this crazy stuff so they could send us to the Middle East to go after these artifacts. And there are soldiers and other things that help me with that theory. We're not going to go into that right now, but that's just my theory on it.
But there's this race of dark-haired giants, and they show up in the Syrian kings. They show up in some of the Greek sections in Asia Minor. And so I think they're coming from the cherubim, as when they take the figure of a human face and they procreate, they're going to look like the father or the mother. And so I think that's where the dark hair comes from. Now, and this is where book 4 will get into more of it and other things that are really kind of, it's a little bit more further out than I go back to more the really fringe.
If you look into the color red, it's very interesting too.
Genres in book 4, but they're all interesting. You'll have the whole base of the other books to say, well, hey, maybe that's a little easier to accept now. Yeah. So you have the lion men of Moab, and you have the Urmalu before the flood. So again, you have lion giants and warriors before and after the flood, and they're called Gibberim, as they're described as mighty ones. So you have the lion-like men of Moab and Gad and Arioch, one of the kings of the Mesopotamian 4 kings who come in Genesis 14 to war with the Canaanite giants and hybrid nations. His name is Arioch. And Arioch's rooted in Aryan, and you get that going back into genealogical Aryan, to the Achaemenid dynasty of the Persians, as they take their genealogies back to the dark-haired Aryans. And you also have that as the base word for Hebrew lion, and it means actually lion-like. And so you have this god in the Bible named Nergal, who has a lion face.
That's wild.
Yeah. So now, if you look at, like, I'll just do quickly on this. I won't spend all the show on the different kinds of Nephilim, but you have the bird-faced ones, or the Anunnaki eagle-faced ones. Well, you have Tengu giants in Southeast Asia and China. And if you Google Tengu, you get this warrior that has a bird head. And in the Popol Vuh, you have the Zabalba, which have owl faces, and one has a branch of the Zabalba as demigod giants as being the Camazotz, which means house of the bat. And you Google Camazotz and you get Batman's outfit.
Batman.
that he wears.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really weird stuff, right? And so you have also another god that's recorded in the same area where Nergal would be recorded in the Bible. That's called Nebaz, which means a barking god. And just as Anubis is a jackal god,
werewolf.
You have this enduring mythos throughout our history of dog Nephilim and dog warriors and dog men. Yeah. And so there's another kind that's not perhaps a cherubim that is also creating, and actually with Anubis, he creates Sinoopolis, as the Greeks called it. That means dog city for all the offspring that he created that looked like him as warriors. And it's kind of the epicenter for the dog mythos as a Nephilim or a man.
And the Sphinx.
That is wild. That is wild. So
sorry I went on such a long
based
tangent.
on that information, no, you're here to talk. Like that's
I really hope I can get some of these people on someday. This guy here, I got to reach out to him too. I really, really glad I found his channel. I would love to talk with some of these authors, and I know our channel isn't that big yet, but I'm going to reach out to some of them anyway, Dane. I would love to have some of these people on.
Man. Yeah,
you got to try. You got to try. You know what I mean?
It's all great. So based off the information you just shared, you seem to really focus in on sharing information without giving your opinion, but I'm going to ask you for your opinion. When it comes to the dog entities, let's just do the dog entity one, the like that lineage. Do you think that what we're dealing with today, when people are saying they're coming across these dogman creatures outside and being stalked by these creatures, do you think that this is remnant of that?
I think so. I mean, we actually have these as giant warriors right up till past 1000 AD. And, Saint, I'm trying to remember the saint now. Is it Christopher? I think it's Christopher, who is depicted in Greek Orthodox imagery with a dog's head. And as somebody from North Africa that somehow is connected back to Canaanites, who was this mercenary dog warrior who converted to Christianity. I think there's a residue of that. I don't know how much and how much is myth, but it's kind of like the alien thing, right? There's something there. Are all of the sightings legitimate? Probably not, but you don't have to have very many or you only need one to make it legitimate.
It's wild, right? I mean, have you ever, nobody ever taught me any of this stuff in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Never. I would have been reading the Bible as a teenager had they been telling me this stuff. I mean, this is the best supernatural story I've ever heard.
Yeah, let's keep a blind eye to it and just keep everybody in the dark while you're teaching seminary.
Yeah, because all of it leads back to God. All the supernatural creatures, divine beings, everything.
Don't believe
all
in
of
that.
It. Right, all of it leads back.
That can't happen. No, just like the kings in Egypt, how all the ones up to 30,000 years ago were completely legitimate, but the ones after that, no, they were made up. Shut up. Just retire, bro. Just get out of the field. Okay, retire so somebody with an open mind and an open concept with today's technology, today's advancements, today's knowledge, let them step up and go for it. Can't teach a dog new trick. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. So many of these, of course, politicians included, term limits are awesome, if we can have them. But these people that have just been in this field for so long and they've just been kept in a bubble, just like Christianity, or in Christianity, but in religion, they've been kept in a bubble for so long, and they've never cracked out of that and gotten anything else, and it's sad.
I think a lot of people are afraid of it. There are. I mean, like I said, when I first started coming into this, I was a little freaked out by it. Still, some of the things I'm coming to learn, while it makes me jump for joy, at the same time, I'm like, man, that's a little freaky. That's a little weird there. Mm-hmm. I mean, this stuff is not just something we've been seeing on TV. This stuff happened back then. This was actually going on.
But honestly, learning about it and seeing it basically live through life right now, it all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Since God's flipped that switch, every crazy thing that I see now, it's like, in personal life or across the world or anything, but more in my personal life, it all makes sense.
And it's going to more and more and more. So with we're fixing to wrap up here, but so with the little bit we have gone over, what do you personally think? Do you think the Nephilim are still here, that they are still working with the governments to create more creatures, I guess you'd say?
If you put it that way, absolutely 1,000,000,000%. Strictly because we've hit on it billions of times, but these people that are in our infrastructure, or not in the elites across the entire world that have this this new world order, this global economic forum, all of those people.
Yeah.
I guarantee they have been touched by an angel, but not the good kind.
Right. Well,
I do believe that
you
that
can see
kind
it.
of
They
evil
believe it.
cannot come from a normal citizen like you and I. That say we went to we graduated high school, we went to college, we went to Harvard, we became a lawyer, we became a senator, we became this, we became. If you and I would have done that, can you imagine yourself being in this position that the government's in right now? Do you think you would have been allowed? Do you think morally would you have let all of this kind of stuff happen with all the fraud, the waste, everything? Because I could not have.
Well, no.
I think that there are other. I think that there are other entities controlling these people.
Well, sure. Absolutely.
Because I cannot fathom how I could do that, to screw over everybody so I line my pockets and do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but some people are greedy. There's a lot of greed out in the world, and that comes from all of this too. It comes from the demon. It's demonic. I think it all is.
Right.
It's all Antichrist for sure.
And of course it goes. It does go all the way to the top. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton. Let's talk about Obama and Libya and the regime changes that have killed millions across the world for their public advancement.
Well, I think they're still sacrificing to Baal. That's what's going on. All the human trafficking, all of that stuff, all the children, the sex slavery, all of those things, they are still sacrificing. Abortion, they're still sacrificing, and they get power from these things. We just don't believe it anymore. But they do. They build up their reward in this world. They're evil, and a lot of these people know what they're doing. They absolutely know their soul is darkened and exactly what they're doing. They have these sex rituals that they do to bring on the demons. All of these crazy things that they do to invite the UFOs in. I mean, it's all right there in front of your face. And that's part of what woke me up. Wasn't the fact that I believed, I saw that they believed. Never mind if I'll believe what they're doing is real or not. They believe it. They believe it so much so that they're openly doing certain things. And that's where I was like, it's real. It's all real. It's boom. It's like God just smacks me in the face with it. And since then, it's just been more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And I welcome it. I'm all for the craziest conspiracy thing you can show me, because I know that most of it has a lot of truth to it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Mm-hmm. And it potentially has truth.
Right.
It
all has some form of truth.
Exactly. There, even if it is just a little sprinkle of truth, there's still that aspect, Yeah. So, man, it's good.
Yeah. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us again tonight, guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. Share this. If you would like to come on and talk with Dane and myself, please let us know. If you enjoy nicotine like I do, I've moved away from vaping, and I like these pouches. We sell these for Tucker Carlson. I'm an affiliate with this company. If you look in the description, and that little device you've been seeing me use, this fume device, man, it's a little air device. It's a little fidget device to help trick your brain so you can stop vaping. And if you ever want to talk about what the Nephilim Blue's been doing for me, it's been great, guys. And you can get this in my showcase on TikTok. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure you go follow Dane and come back and see us next Saturday. Mary is going to come tell her story. All right. There you go. That's right.
Newest edition of Airsoft.
That's right. Hey, they got to start learning gun safety at some point, and that's what it's all about. 100%. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It means the world to us. Yep. And again, we'd love to hear from you. So reach out to us. You can email me. You can comment here. You can message me on any social media, and we'd love to have you on. God bless. Y'all have an amazing weekend.
Yep. Much love, guys.
Later, Dane. You have a good night, bud. It's probably going to kick you right out.
Yep, got it. Yep. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Yes, sir. Good night, bud. I'll hit you up later, Dane.